Good morning, guys. My name is Jackson Ritchie. I'm a senior here at Jonathan Law High School, and this is my presentation on Total Mortgage Marketing Internship. So what is Total Mortgage Services? We are a corporate mortgage lender that is licensed in 44 states. We have 15 branches across Connecticut, and we are Connecticut's #1 lender 3 years running, and we are also in the running for this year. Helping people find the best loan that fits their needs is our main priority. We have a bunch of different systems that help people find their correct loans that match their needs, and also it varies about the home price and all of that. So meet the team. So over here we have Cassandra. She's a general marketer. She is amazing. She's literally the sweetest person on earth. We have Samantha here. She is a graphic designer at Total Mortgage. She does amazing work with the print ads, the cover photos of loan officers. We have me. I did a little bit of everything. We have Connor. He is the videographer for Total Mortgage. So he films commercials, he films videos, he does a little bit of everything. And we have my site supervisor, Anthony Ayala. He is by far the most influential, inspiring person I've ever met. He is very creative, and in marketing you need a creative aspect to you. He is so kind. He's just amazing at his job. He really is. He is the director of marketing for Total Mortgage, so he does a little bit of everything. He did 4 years at Southern for marketing, and he also got a business degree at Southern. Oh, and just to touch up, we also don't have a lot of the people that aren't, or we have more people that we don't have in this picture. We have Andrew. He is the chief marketing officer. He is actually leaving soon. We have Ben, who is also a general marketer. We have Zach, who is another graphic designer that works with Sam. And yeah. So my first day, I remember this like it was in the back of my head. My first day jitters were definitely in full effect. I remember walking into the offices, into the glass conference room, and it was just a little overwhelming because everyone was there and I never met them. I only had met my site supervisor, Anthony. Everyone was super sweet though, I can't even express it enough. I met the team, I got my workplace set up. So some of the things I was given was a computer, a desktop, and then I got also like a little cubicle office space to work with. And then completing my first task was actually creating some scripts. We had content day, which I'll get to a little bit later, and that was my first task that I completed. So what were my general responsibilities? So creating scripts, we have content day, which I'll get to later on, once a month. So for that, we need scripts made so that loan officers can read them off. That was one of the main things I did. Another thing was creating social posts. So with the marketing team, we work with social media. So we have all the social medias you can imagine. So we have to create filler posts. So you don't want to leave your social media blank for a while. You want to keep uploading. So I would basically create filler posts that are like this or that, like what home style do you like? What interior design do you like? Stuff like that, and also just questions asking people, and you know how you can like vote? You could vote like which one applies to you, like A, B, C, or D. Doing opposing company research was a strong thing that I did. We have competitors such as Movement Mortgage and Rocket Mortgage. So I basically did some research into them, saw some of their strategies and how we could adapt it at Total Mortgage. And another main thing that I did so much of was shadowing meetings. And meetings. So corporate America is very meeting heavy. When I say like meeting heavy, I mean like 3-4 hours a day of meetings. Surprisingly, I did not find them boring. I found them very fun. So some examples of meetings that we had were sales meetings, loan officers, social meetings, and advertising meetings. So we've worked with a lot of big companies like Pandora, WTNH, during my time there. So basically we are working with Pandora currently. We're still in the process of getting radio ads for Total Mortgage onto Pandora. And we're working with WTNH right now to start we're launching a TV campaign, and we're gonna have it on WTNH's services, and then also SEO optimization meetings. So this is a little complicated. SEO optimization is search engine optimization. So basically, it is when you type a generic search into Google, such as, let's say, mortgage. Total Mortgage is about 40 places down. So we hire companies such as Brightline to go in and they optimize it to get us higher up, so more people are likely to select us. So I found this very cool. It's working with like analytics of stuff, Google Analytics, stuff like that, to better our chances of getting higher up. I found it very interesting. It's very, very complicated, but I enjoyed it very much. And yeah, a lot of the time it was just social meetings with LOs. So we basically look over their social medias. We discuss with them plans on how to post more and what types of posts to use. One thing I will say is we have a in-house service called Ember at Total Mortgage. It is basically a social post site that we run. We have our in-company devs or developers to program everything. So they basically can go on, they link their social medias to Ember, and they can simply just click a button and it'll post to their socials. So that made it very helpful to loan officers that want to grow their social media. So things I have worked on during my time here. So billboard ads, we have about 15 to 20 billboards lining I-95. Also, we have them in other states, but I mainly focus on the ones on I-95 between New Haven and Bridgeport. I also worked on the TV ads. We are currently launching our Dream Home campaign. That's why I have the picture over there. So on one of our billboards, we actually have that picture, which my site supervisor, Anthony, one of his kids actually drew that. And basically it is to show people that they can't afford their dream home, what their dream home, everyone has a different vision of their dream home. And we're gonna be launching that campaign at the beginning of July. And then again, I worked a little bit on the radio ads, not that much, I just kind of shadowed the meetings. And then also Total Mortgage Services apparel. I can't click out of it right now, but I'll show something at the end that I designed. And then social media research. So I looked into a lot of the social posts of opposing companies such as Movement Mortgage, Rocket Mortgage. We also have other companies. But a lot of it was to look into the techniques that they used. So basically like different calculators, like mortgage calculators, tax calculators, all that stuff. I looked at a lot of that to see at Total Mortgage, what we can adapt. And yep. And then we also, obviously, as I had said before, we want to maintain a consistent rate of posting. And you always want to have new posts and fresh posts on. You don't want to keep the existing ones always there. You always want to keep adding to it so you can attract more people. And then content day. So content day is quite a big day at Total Mortgage. I remember the first one that we had at the start of my time. It was kind of a flop. A lot of people signed up for it, but they never came, which was very upsetting, but it is a once a month event. So LOs get to come into the corporate office. They can come around from all around the country, but we usually have them from Massachusetts and Connecticut mainly. So they come in, we help them create and edit videos for their socials. So they basically read off a script and we get to formulate the video and then we can send it to them so that they can post it on their own social media. And then we are now, I can't go because we went up to Portland, Maine, and also somewhere in Massachusetts. We are going to be going on the road every other month. So yeah, it used to be just held here in Milford at our corporate offices, although we have since made the change to go on the road so that we can, reach more people and help more people within the company. So then brand awareness. Total Mortgage Services has focused their efforts on promoting loan officers and getting their name out. Although ever since my time there, we have now made the switch to promote the Total Mortgage name and not just the loan officers. For the past 2 years, we have promoted the loan officers to the point where they are now big. They have their name out there, people recognize their name and all that. So now we are going to start our focus on promoting the Total Mortgage name, which is why we are doing all the billboard stuff, the TV campaigns, all that. And yeah. So what did my days look like? Monday we had our marketing team meetings every single week. We basically just went over the task, who completes a task throughout the week. We went over accomplishments that employees have made or coworkers of mine have made. And then again, a lot of meetings every single day. I usually had a lunch around noon. We have in the corporate center, we have a cafe down at the bottom. They make amazing pizza there, so it's very good. I also did a lot of miscellaneous tasks around the office. A lot of the time I was just going around helping people with whatever they need, whether that be writing emails, organizing stuff, any of that. And then towards the end of my day, I usually had a meeting or two at 3. Meetings usually last about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, sometimes even shorter, like 15 minutes with the loan officer meetings. And yeah. So, changes come in. With having completed my internship, I've concluded that I will be changing my major to marketing with a minor in graphic design. I can't thank Total Mortgage enough for helping me navigate my passions, interests, and overall what I want to pursue later in life. It's been amazing working with them. I have really realized that I loved marketing, and it's definitely something I'm going to want to pursue in the future.
Jackson, super impressed. Really lovely job.
Thank you.
I know that you had a really great time while you were at your experience, but was there maybe one specific takeaway from like your site supervisor, some piece of advice that they gave you, or something you learned by watching that you feel like you're definitely going to take with you in the future?
One thing he would always say to me is that you can't focus on the past. You can only focus on the future. I really followed that, but he he went to Southern, so he also told me a lot of the teachers not to take and what teachers to take, what classes to take. So that's something I'm definitely going to use in the future.
Great.
Yeah.
Just my question is, while you were out at your internship, is there anything that you learned here at Jonathan Law that you were able to draw upon and like utilize while you were at your internship?
Definitely. So I had Mr. Beeler for marketing 1 and 2. In there, we did a lot of SWOT analysis, which are strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. When I was talking about opposing company research, I would heavily create SWOT analysis for the opposing companies and opportunities for us to change threats that company poses towards us. So yes, Mr. Beeler has helped me with that.
That's awesome. And my follow-up to that it sounds like you did a variety of things from like meetings to content creation and all that. Is there like a favorite day you had while you were there, or just something you were like, wow, that was the best?
Honestly, so when I sat down with Sam, our graphic designer, and I also created some of the social posts, the this or that, or the comparisons. That's something I really enjoyed, and again, that's why it's a good thing to minor, especially in graphic design. Southern has an amazing graphic design program, but it's a good thing when you're going into marketing because there are a lot of graphic design aspects. So I definitely like the graphic design side of things.
Awesome.
Anybody else have any questions for Jackson?
What's the funnest billboard you did?
It would have to be that Dream Home campaign one. So again, I didn't create the billboards personally, although I did oversee what they were doing. So it was very cool to see. Yeah.
Great job, Jackson.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brianna Vargas. I'm a senior at Jonathan Law, and this is all about my internship at AG Productions. So for those of you who don't know, AG Productions is a photography studio in downtown Milford. So about my site supervisor was Awana Askew. She's the owner of AG Productions. She founded it in 2020 by herself. She's a commercial photographer. She's just so fun, filled with energy. I love being around her. She's actually from Romania, and she moved to Paris after graduating college to be a production manager and photo assistant for Justin Wu. And together they worked with many big brands, including Vogue Paris and Elle Magazine. And even though she started her business literally in the height of the pandemic, she still has managed to gain a whole bunch of clients ever since. And this is her Instagram. She just shows a lot of behind the scenes of different types of shoots. So originally I was really unsure of what I wanted to do after high school, and I just felt really lost, and I had a lot of different career options. But I took this opportunity to see if it would be something I would be interested in pursuing. As I was looking at potential options to internet, I really couldn't find anything. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to do an internship. but I stumbled across her website. It really intrigued me, seeing all the stuff she offered to her clients and previous shoots she had done. She was just really different and stood out from like other photographers nearby. Everyone else just kind of does like either like family portraits or school photos, and nothing's wrong with that. I just find it kind of like boring, but after meeting her for the first time, I knew it was going to be a good fit. I had my heart set on this place. But so about AG Productions, it's really everything from product photography to fashion editorial, social media content, branding, retouching, video production, headshots, and so much more. She really does everything everywhere. These are just a few examples of some like different types of photography. You can see there's some like product photography and some like editorials. So my biggest expectation going into this was honestly just to see if this was something I really even liked enough to truly pursue as a profession. I was really interested in seeing behind the scenes of like all the stuff you see online and seeing what the creative process really entailed. And I also wanted to learn about like the different types of photography. So you could see in like the bottom corner, this was for a bedding company. It's like a really clean, put together kind of look, and the middle photo is more like a lived in lifestyle look. And although like it might seem like a minimal difference, it makes a big difference when it comes to marketing and like where the photos are being posted at. So due to unforeseen circumstances that I'll get into in a minute, I had to intern from home more than I originally expected, but I still did a lot. My responsibilities range from like creating mood boards to executing a beach photo shoot, making slideshows, and doing research along the way, which may seem boring, but I feel like it really helped me, and I was a lot more informed once I got into the studio. But once I got into the studio, I was doing a lot. I assisted her in assembling equipment. Like when you go to, other studios, there's just bags of equipment. You have to like set everything up, put everything away. Making touch-ups on models was a big one because, if she's the one behind the camera, someone needs to be there to fix their hair and like their clothing and touch-ups on like makeup and everything. Preparing sets was really fun because there would just be like a room full of props and you get to like basically create the space from like scratch. And even contributing and making creative decisions, I'd be like, we should try this or do this. And we ended up doing a lot of the stuff and we got some good photos. I was really just helping create ideal pictures, so less editing would be required in the end, which just streamlines the whole process. It makes it easier for the editor, they get their photos quicker. It's just better if you can catch all the tiny details in the moment. This is an example of a mood board I made, and it's just, she told me that she makes them before every shoot, and she shows them to her clients so they can kind of get a vision of what the photos are going to look like, what she's going for. So this might seem like minor, but an accomplishment for me was honestly just getting to go in the studio and get to actual shoots. I wasn't sure if I was even going to get to go in at one point. I got the opportunity to utilize equipment and become familiarized with it. There's so many different types of like lenses and settings and lights and umbrellas. This was probably my favorite part, but I got to meet and work with like really genuine and hardworking entrepreneurs. Everyone I met was so nice and like welcoming, and they were all just so passionate about their business. I got to work with this well-known bathing suit company, and I was able to see like all the unreleased swimwear from the new line and take photos for their website. And it was so chaotic. It was the first day, like my first shoot, and it was a full day shoot. There ended up being like thousands of photos by the end of the day. There were so many different tops and bottoms, and it was like a cycle. You had to go really move fast. So it was kind of stressful, but it was really fun. I also got to do this lifestyle photo shoot in Hartford, and that was really cool because I got to make a lot of creative decisions during the shoot, and I felt super involved in the whole process. I felt like they viewed me more than just an intern. I also love interior design, so it was like a mix of that and photography, which was really cool. And this is a girl I got to work with. She's the owner of the company. She was so cool. Okay. So the biggest obstacle I would say I faced is just having to do it from home so unexpectedly. My site supervisor was having all these complications with her pregnancy, and I'm so grateful that she helped me even though all she was going through, she was in and out the hospital for like a whole month, and I didn't even understand the extent of what she was really going through until recently, and I feel really bad, but I'm so like grateful for her. Another challenge, I couldn't get much photos. A lot were like closed sets, which means like you can't take pictures for certain brands if it's like unreleased stuff. On one occasion, I was also really sick and I was like missing hours and just like I missed an opportunity for a shoot. Just early on, the whole internship was stressing me out. I didn't know how it was going to play out, if I was ever going to get to go in, but thankfully everything worked out. This internship really made me realize how much thought and effort goes into every single picture. I feel like there's this misconception that photography is super easy. It's just like pressing a button. But there's so much that goes into it in trial and error. Like you could have this whole concept and try to execute it, and then you go to do it and it doesn't come out how you expected and you have to scrap the whole idea. So it's just a lot of like trial and error. It also made me recognize the dedication and hard work that comes with owning a business. There's so much, especially when you're scheduling everything by yourself, all these different shoots, people like trying to like book things and trying to prioritize a life outside of work. I practiced working collaboratively with others. Thankfully, everyone I met was so nice, like I said, but regardless of who they are, you're going to have to work with all different kinds of people. I also learned a lot about just the whole process, how different equipment affects the photos, what they add to it, like what they take away. I think this internship like has genuinely helped me narrow down my career choices. At first, I was like, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I kind of wanted to do like acting, but even now I realize how much I hate being in front of the camera. But I really enjoyed being behind the camera, getting to make like executive decisions and stuff. And she offered me to come to literally all the shoots during the summer, anyone's like I wanted to, and I'm really looking forward to that because it was just so fun and I really want to get more experience. But it was overall, like I can't even stress this enough, like such an enjoyable experience when I was there, and I'm so glad this is what I ended up choosing and sticking with because I was actually going to switch like halfway through. But I'm so glad I didn't. I think it really helped me like solidify what I want to major in college, either like commercial photography or video production, but it was so fun. And I would definitely recommend to any juniors who are interested in doing like photography and are, you know, want to do an internship next year. Thank you. Any questions?
I am so proud of you because I know that you were struggling at the beginning, really worried you weren't going to get the hours, and you were very diligent about keeping in contact with me and letting me know what was happening. And so I just want to give you 2 thumbs up on an excellent job, and it sounds
Thank
like
you.
it was such a fun
It was so
process.
fun.
What was probably your favorite day? Like
My favorite day?
Yeah, so much
Honestly, the one when I went to Hartford, because I just felt so involved in the whole process. Like I felt like I was working with her and not for her. And I don't know, everyone was just so nice, and it was really chill. It wasn't like a stressful day. And just getting to travel there, like I got to meet like her husband and her daughter, and they were all like so nice and fun. And I just spent like the whole day with them, which was really cool.
What sorts of do you know what's coming up for this summer that you'll get to be involved in?
I don't know exactly. I think I'm going to actually tomorrow to do a shoot for like hoodies and stuff, which is cool. But during the summer, there's all types of events and like places you get to go to. So I'm super excited to like travel. Yes. Oh, well, Jackson.
What type of photography did you not get to shoot that you kind of wanted to shoot? Or were you interested?
I really want to do like either like a newborn kind of shoot or like wedding. I feel like those are both really cool. And like big milestones. I don't know. Yeah.
To piggyback on what Miss Sylvia said, the day you went to Harvard, you said you did like a lifestyle shoot. Can you tell me what a lifestyle shoot is?
Oh, a lifestyle photography shoot is more just like, I don't know, not making everything look so clean and put together. Like, you know, like someone actually like lives here, and I know that sounds like weird, but like just not so perfect and more just like chill, I guess. I don't know if that really makes sense, but
So it's not like people, it's like a house. Like I imagine you like in a park shooting.
yeah,
with
like
your
just like
family,
yeah,
We're just hanging
yeah.
out. Okay. And my second question is, does it change your perspective, like when you look at things now, like, oh, I could shoot this water bottle, like, because as I was watching
Kind
the
of.
photos, I was thinking like, wow. That's
Oh yeah,
good
actually it
photos.
does,
And
cause
now
like
it's I bet I could get a good like.
yeah, like make it all like aesthetic and stuff. I feel
Yeah.
like it has in a way.
Yeah.
but
Like you
I already take like a lot of photos like regardless, so I feel like
Have they gotten better?
they gotten better. I don't know. Well actually yeah, cause that beach photo shoot I did, I feel like I got some really good photos, and she gave me like feedback and stuff, so I think that was good.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, do you feel like you've developed like almost like a mini portfolio from this experience?
Kind of, but I think it's definitely gonna get more extensive like over the summer because I'm gonna get to go in like a lot, and like especially since she's pregnant, I'm sure she like needs help. So
Yeah. That's great.
Swoop in. Perfect. Really nice job.
Great job.
thank you.
Hi, my name is Kate Guzzi. I'm 17 years old and I'm a senior at Jonathan Law High School. My internship was at Connecticut Dance Physical Therapy, and I did drive to Stanford every day, which I will tell you the drive was crazy, but it was so worth it. So, the basics. So my first day I got in there, so let me start off by saying this was an office that I was already very familiar with, as it was my physical therapy office. So my site supervisor was Samara DiMattia. She's one of the best dance physical therapists you'll ever meet. If you ever need her number, just ask me. So I started off, I went around the office with Michelle and went over everything that I didn't exactly know yet. So this is our office, our little cabinet, and one of my little miscellaneous tasks was one morning I got to come in and just totally reorganize it and clean everything out. So I'll actually go through some of that with you because some of the stuff in there is kind of cool. So down at the bottom here, we have like random boots, braces, ace bandages, band-aids, first aid kits, pretty much anything that you could end up needing in a physical therapy office. And then on top, these are all of our refill items. So these rolls that kind of look like paper towels, I actually learned are used for these things called dancer pads. So they go under your shoe, or you can put them on your foot when you're having foot problems and pains when you're dancing. A lot of times Irish step dancers will come in and they'll have these certain pains, and then we put a dancer pad on, which starts to even out their foot, which helps with their pain. And then in there we also have ultrasound gel, which was my favorite to refill. And then we have massage therapy gel, and then this thing we call plungy gel, which are just different kinds of lotions that are different thicknesses and textures that are different for types of massages. And then up top we have all of our, I called them fun gels, which is like your Biofreeze, your Voltaren, your Arnicare. And then we also have our PT tape, which is anything that you'll use if you need to tape up a knee, a shoulder. I have pounds of it at home because I'm always using it. And then the last top shelf has all of our TheraBands. So one thing that I learned, because I've always just been given the red TheraBand, is that there's actually multiple different colors of TheraBands. So there's red, green, yellow, black. If you're going fancy, you can even get them in pink if you want. Like, you would think I'd have the pink. And then we also have pre-wrap, which we use a lot all the time for different things, which I can explain to you a little bit later on too. So yeah, so we went through all the locations of everything. Michelle brought me through that. It was really fun. There were a lot of little things that I didn't notice went into the office just because I've always been out in the gym area, we call it, doing my stuff, but there's a lot more that goes into it. So table setup. Table setup was a little confusing for me to understand at the time because there's so many layers that go into it. So every time a patient comes in, we have these little scripts. So you'll ask them if they want heat and what they want heat on. A lot of times, like me, you'll use back heat just to get your whole back heated up, and what that does is it loosens the muscles and the ligaments for massage. So that you have to put down your first layer, which would be your bed cover, and then on top of that, you take the bigger pad, which is what your heat goes into, and then you put another pad on top of that, and then you put your towel on top of that. And this is because these heat packs in the hydroculator get insanely hot. So we don't want to burn the patient or have them get too hot. And then after that, sometimes I would forget this, you always have to put a towel over the pillows because, you don't want everyone's head on the same thing. So that's a little bit about our hydroculator and the table setup. And then we also just have disinfectant, which we just go around and we would disinfect everything. So the hydroculator is actually super fun. It was this little thing right here. So I had always seen it, and I've always seen Samara or Michelle getting the heat out of it for me, but I never really knew exactly what was going on inside of there. So the first time I opened it up, it was like a little stinky because the hot water is just sitting in there for a month. Every month you have to clean it out though, so that was one of the things that I did do. And then these are super hot. So you actually have prongs that you can go, like literally cooking prongs that you would go and you can take out and use them. But I got to a point where I didn't feel like using them anymore, and I kind of just shoved my hands in there and took it out and got used to the heat. So that was another really fun thing. Ultrasound therapy. So this is really cool. So it's not ultrasound that you would think that you would do on a pregnant lady's belly. It's actually using the same technology though. So our ultrasound therapy is these little like sound waves that go through, and they go down into the bone and through the ligaments and through the muscles, and they help with the massaging and getting any gels into the body. So we had ultrasound therapy and Voltrasound therapy. So Voltrasound is something we kind of made up in the office, and basically it's the same ultrasound therapy, but we put Voltaren on the hurt area first. So that was really fun to do. A fun fact about ultrasound therapy. You have to be very careful when you're doing it, and you have to keep the wands moving, and you do them in circles. So in this case, it would be 1 circle per second. And the reason you have to do this is because there's, so this is called the head. And we have head heating on the ultrasound wand. And if you were to keep the head in one spot, you would not feel the heat, but it would indeed go through your muscles, and it would burn a hole into your bone. Yes. So I've actually had ultrasound therapy done on my foot before because I had bad heel pain at one point. And then as I was doing this, Samara was telling me about it because I always have questions when I'm there. I'm like, oh, what does this do? What does that do? And she told me about how ultrasound therapy works, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So I actually got to do ultrasound therapy on my first day, which was amazing, and I was so scared because I was like, oh no, I don't want to burn a hole in this lady's bone. But I didn't, and she was good, and I made sure she had no pain with it, and it was a really fun experience. STEM. So this is actually me getting STEM. That was so one of my days. I actually had one of my PT lessons. Well, not lessons, like one of my appointments during one of my hours. It was a great way that we could like work it in the day. I just hopped out of my internship for a second, hopped onto a bed, and then went back into it. So we have two types of STEM. We have IFC STEM, which you can get a bigger area covered. So we can do this on a knee, on a back, on shoulders, and then we also have high volt STEM, which is more intense. So the difference between the two is that IFC STEM, this is IFC STEM, I was receiving IFC STEM. This is going to require 4 pads, which goes to 2 channels. This was really confusing at first, and I didn't fully understand it because all of these pads go up and they connect to channels. Now, as you can see here, these have different colors on them, which would match to channel 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, which would make sense. But our STEM machine was a little funky, so we kind of had to differently color coordinate the pads, and then sometimes I'd get confused, but then I would just ask Samara for help, and she was amazing, and she would just always help me out if I had any questions. That was one thing that I really did learn, is that getting feedback from your patients and from your site supervisors is so important in a medical field of any sort, because you're working on a patient's body. So you want to make sure that everything's okay, nothing is causing any extra pain. Our job is to heal the pain. So if I had stim on too high, I could put a patient into a lot of pain, which I don't want to do. So yeah, so we went through and finally ended up understanding the channels, and then I was able to start setting up stim on my own, which was really cool. So with IFC stim, like I said, you have the 4 pads, and on your little stim machine, you will turn the dial, and then you'll see the volts increasing. So with IFC stim, a lot of patients can go up to about 30 or 40 volts and not really feel anything. So that's when we say, oh, just let me know when you feel it, and then they'll tell us. But with high volt stim, since it's only 2 pads and it's more intense, you'll start feeling it at about 5 or 10 volts. So high volt stim is what we use on a lot of things for like metatarsal pain, and that's how we'll solve that problem. A really cool thing that we did was an Irish step dancer came in and she was having foot pain. And this was a new patient, which I'll go through how we did all of that later on. So we didn't really know exactly what was going on. So Samara did an assessment, and this was really cool for me to watch. So she went through and she asked a whole bunch of questions, and then she did this thing that we call listening with your hands. So as a physical therapist, everything is done through a lot of touch and a lot of physical activity. So she went through and she did a little foot assessment, and then she said, can you go grab my tuning fork? Did not know we had a tuning fork in the office. So she takes out the tuning fork and she puts the end of it and she starts running it along, our patient's name was Rory. She starts running it along her metatarsals. And then what we figured out was Rory had a certain feeling with the tuning fork as the way it was. Then Samara whacked the tuning fork on the bed and went through and did it again on the same area. So what this does is the vibrations from the tuning fork will go through the bone, and if there is a fracture or a crack, you'll get a sharp shooting pain, and then you know that your bone is broken. Unfortunately, Rory got a little bit of pain. She may have a broken bone, but this was all part of the learning process for me, unfortunately. But we started taking care of Rory, and hopefully she'll be back to dancing soon. Okay, so business. One of the things that I had to do all the time was appointment reminder calls. So this was basically, I would go on WebPT, our best friend in the office, and I would see all of our patients for the next week. And then I would have to go through, call each of the patients, say, hey, you have an appointment on blah, blah, blah. Is it okay? Will you still be coming? And then they would say yes. Sometimes they wouldn't answer, and then I would just have to leave a voicemail. But other times they would, and then I would have to start going through WebPT and finding a new place to schedule them, which was a little stressful, but then once I got used to WebPT, I started understanding it better. New patient information. So this was another task that I had to do. I would have to go through and take all of our new patient papers, organize them, highlight the certain parts so that our packets are ready to give a new patient when they come in. So generally they'll sit in the waiting room, I'll bring out their packet with a clipboard, and then I give it to them, and then I have to ask for their insurance card. So as I was here, I did get a little crash course in insurance. It was a little confusing, but I started understanding it. So basically there's like 3 sections that we have. So there's insurance that we take, there's insurance that we don't take, and then there's insurance that we have partnerships with that we don't take but we'll work with. So then I have to take their card, I would go make a copy of their card, and then give them back their card. So then another thing that the other interns and I did was we had an injury prevention meeting to attend. So this was just online. Sydney took care of the slides. She was another intern. And then afterwards, Samara had us create videos of things that we could do for injury prevention. So one of them was ball release work and rolling out your muscles before and after you dance, or do Irish step dancing or gymnastics, whatever your sport is. So that really helps warm up or cool down the muscles, and it's a big part of injury prevention. So we recorded videos of me doing that and of Bridget doing that. And then another thing that we did a lot of was filming exercises to send to patients so that they have stuff at home to do. So there were a few days that I would come in extra early and we would spend 3 hours, Samara and I, just recording these videos. Here they are, the exercises. So these are they're pictures of me doing the exercises. So these were all for hip mobility and stability. So this one is for hip strengthening, and by laying on the bed and lifting up, you're really engaging your glute, and that one's kind of painful. This one I love, and it's a hip release. So that is one of the blue TheraBands, and it is just wrapped around into my hip joint, and then by leaning forward, the band presses in and helps with releasing. And then this last one over here, that one was really hard. You have to do a full twisting rotation, and you have to try to keep both of your sits bones on the ground, which is helping with mobility and stability at the same time. Monitoring exercises was a really cool way for me to learn because I was able to see what the patients were doing and see like their injuries in action almost. I remember there was one patient and she had foot pain, and we could see the problems just in walking. So when she would walk, she would tend to favor one foot. And then from the favoring, we could see a hip rise and a hip dip in her walking. She would have a twist. And then along with this came knee pain, back pain, even all the way up to neck pain. Another thing that I got to do a lot of was teaching new exercises. So Samara and I came up with a way to keep exercises for every patient. So we would create folders on her iPhone, and we would just have videos of all of their exercises in there. So as I would go through the exercises, I would talk about them with Samara, and I would figure out what exercise is this making more stable, what exercise is this making more mobile. And that was a really cool way for me to learn. So through the teaching new exercises, it was insanely fun and cool because I got to see all of this in action. Filming exercises, like I said, this was really fun because this was also a good little workout for me because I was getting to do, some of these are actually my exercises, and then we film them and we give them to the patients. So it's also really cool because, like, I'm sure you've seen the jokes about physical therapy students taking tests and their arms are moving and their legs are moving, but that's really what it is because everything, like I said, is so physical, hence physical therapy. So doing the exercises for me really helped me understand what they were helping and what they're supposed to be working. Social media. So when internship season approaches, Samara's Instagram starts to blow up because she has all of her interns on her Instagram. So these are some posts that we did. This one was about turnout, and I actually learned a bit of myself throughout doing this. And so you have these rotator muscles in your hips. So when you see a ballet dancer in like 5th position or in 1st position, that rotation is coming from your rotators in your hips. A lot of dancers complain, like myself, that we don't have a lot of turnout. When in reality we do, but our muscles just aren't strong enough to access it. So one of the things that I do a lot in physical therapy is rotation exercises. This is Bridget. Those are her feet. She was another intern, and she's an Irish step dancer. So this was a dead shoe awareness post. The amount of patients that come in with foot pain, ankle pain, have some sort of tear, and then we look at their shoes and they're completely dead is like so sad. So you can see the soles of her shoes are falling out. She's way more over on her arch than she should be. There's patients that come in and we're like, oh, well, like, how are your shoes? They're like, oh yeah, I'm taping them on every day. Throw them out. That's what we would say every single time. So what this improper loading does on your foot is it actually changes your center of gravity, and you go where you're not supposed to be on your toes. Because, like, let's not forget, this is very unnatural, and nobody really wants to be doing it, but you do it for, like, the aesthetic of the sport. So by going over too much on your foot, you begin front loading your foot. So now instead of your ankle being more straight and in line, you're getting pushed over, which this causes tears, pulls, even breaks and stress fractures further up the body. This is Bradley. She's adorable. She's one of the patient's daughters, and this was a post on ball release work. Bradley loves playing with the spiky balls in the office, and this was actually a video that she was actually, without knowing it, doing ball release work. So ball release work, normally you put it under your leg, and you just roll around on the ball until you find a spot that's really painful. You sit in that spot, and it slowly starts releasing the muscle. And this was a little bit more. So this was another patient, and these are dead point shoes. So you can even see it a little bit more here. This is as pretty as it looks, so bad for you, and it actually can become painful at points because this arching here and that overstretch is not normal and is not healthy for most people's anatomy. These are, this was a video of me doing exercises, and so we have this thing called Samara Says, and with this one it was with great feet comes great responsibility. So my feet have very high arches in them, which is why my feet look pretty when I'm dancing. But I have to do a lot of strengthening to make sure that I don't get hurt because we have certain end ranges as dancers that I naturally push even though I shouldn't. So doing exercises like this with the ball helped me control my releve and keep me up. So this was one of the things that we posted. Flappy hypermobile feet might look really pretty, but sometimes they're not that healthy. And yeah, that was what I did. Yes.
So, obviously, we know you are a dancer.
Yes.
And it's very near and dear to your heart. Do you feel like, now, you dance for a company, right?
I dance for Triple Threat Dance Company,
Okay,
yes.
perfect. So, are there lots of exercises and things that you bring back to other dancers that you know
I
in your
do.
company?
Yes, I do. So, actually, one of my friends, Ryan, who I'm very close with, when we were doing our recital, got hurt in the middle of the recital. No one really knew what to do, but I kind of knew a little bit how to help because I've dealt with so much knee pain in the office. So being able to stay with him and help him and get ice for the swelling, and I was like, oh, we need to get arnicare for his ligaments, was actually really helpful. So yes, it really does help. Jackson?
Oh, do the different colored bands have different resistance?
Yes,
Is that
they
what
do.
differs them? Okay.
Yes, 100%. So like black bands, which we don't have as many of, are the highest form of resistance.
Okay.
And then the red band is normal, it's about medium in the middle. So then, yeah, different colors represent different densities and tensions. Miss Burns?
I know the goal is to be a professional dancer.
Yes.
And so, did you get to interact a lot with the patients who are dancers and
Yes.
network with them at all, or did you meet
Yes.
any cool
Very much.
clients?
I did. I met a lot of very cool clients. I don't know if anyone in this room knows this, but my mother was also a professional figure skater. So I met a lot of figure skaters in here too, and that was really cool. And I saw that a lot of them knew my mom. So one of the patients that I met actually was a professional ice dancer and competed in the Olympics. Samara herself was a former professional dancer, and she was literally a prima ballerina, and she danced professionally in ballet. I actually know a lot of other dancers that go here, so then I get to see them. Sometimes I end up calling their mothers when I'm doing patient calls, and they're like, wait, did you just say Kately? I'm like, yeah, I danced with your daughter. But I met a lot of dance teachers, and I definitely made a lot of really amazing connections.
Really cool.
Great job, Caitlin.
So my name is Andrew Santano, and I did my internship at Tweed New Haven Airport. So who am I? My name is Andrew Santano. I'm from New Haven, Connecticut. I moved to Milford freshman year. I'm going to Lynn University in Boca Raton, Florida this fall, studying aviation operations. Some of you may know me, and if you do know me, you know that I have a high interest in aviation. So like airplanes, airports. And this led me to reach out to some local airports around Connecticut. So I reached out to Sikorsky, Bradley, Tweed, and some smaller ones. But I decided that Tweed New Haven Airport would be the best fit for me to have my internship due to the close proximity to Milford. And I wanted to have an airport that still had commercial flights but wasn't really big. Because I feel like if I went to Bradley, I wouldn't have got the experience I had at Tweed. And my site supervisor was Jeremiah Wilhite. So about Jeremiah. Jeremiah works for a company called Avports. Avports is a company that leases, manages, and operates aviation infrastructure. So they operate terminals and airports as a whole. Jeremiah, he is the assistant landside operations manager for Tweed. His responsibilities around the airport include making the schedule for the airport employees. So he does their time cards and time off requests. So time cards is basically like their payroll. The airport employees get paid bi-weekly. I'm not sure about the Avelo employees, but I know that the airport employees get paid bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks. He makes sure that all the infrastructure in the terminal is working properly, so all the TVs are working, all the air conditioners are working. If there's any like carpets ripped up, anything that can like hurt, makes people trip or something, he makes sure that's all like good. And he just makes sure that the passengers are having the safest trip possible. So there was 3 medical emergencies while I was at the airport. So he was there with them. So 2 people passed out. 1 person passed out on the plane, so he had to go there. 1 person passed out in the ticketing trailer, so he had to be there. And 1 person got their arms stuck in like the terminal chairs, so he had to be there. Yeah, I know. Kind of crazy. So my site experience overview. I chose Tweed, also known as HVN Airport. They're trying to like rebrand to that HVN because I guess it was like simpler to say, because I am very passionate about the aviation industry. I'm looking to either be a pilot, a flight attendant, or a rampager after I graduate college. I just want to be like in the plane, around the plane, like working with like the aircraft. The business is an airport, and my expectations for going into this internship were to gain a better knowledge of the inner workings of the airport and how like the terminal works and how the airfield operates. So why would they tell the planes to land on this runway? Why would they tell them to taxi on this taxiway? So I put a diagram of the airport. So that long black line, that's the actual runway, and then all the other little small lines are the taxiways. The rest went right here. That's where the terminal is, and the east ramp is where all like the small planes are. So my accomplishments. I definitely gained a better understanding of how the airport functions. I gained useful knowledge that I can use towards my major in college, with my major being aviation operations. I've made some great memories. I met a lot of amazing people, a lot of funny people, a lot of like great people that were inspirational. And it's definitely, I feel like it definitely jump-started my career in aviation. I feel like when I go to Florida for college, hopefully get a job like at an airport and work around the planes. But also the challenges were people were hands-on challenge. Some of the passengers, they were like crazy. They wouldn't listen. They literally wouldn't listen. I remember one time there was a false fire alarm in the arrivals building, so that made the fire truck come out. So this lady literally parked in front of the fire truck, wouldn't listen. They was blaring their horn. It was bad. And also some employees were hard to work with. Like some employees would just like drag me into their drama. I'm like, I'm here for like 2 weeks. Why are you dragging me in? I remember like one time when I was with Avelo, this guy was like saying that I was distracting the person I was with, shadowing, when he literally did nothing the entire day. It was kind of crazy, but like 90% of the people was good. So my everyday responsibilities include cleaning the terminal, so taking out the trash, vacuuming, etc., holding the arrival door for passengers, helping and guiding both departing and arriving traffic, and escorting any merchandising vehicles that needed to get on the airfield, helping passengers if they need to know where the restrooms are, etc., and respond to door alarms and open the back belt for TSA. So this is a picture. This is all the traffic that I had to line up. So this is the through lane, so people can't park there. This is where the shuttle bus goes, so people can't park there. And we had to line up traffic this side, and then there's 2 rows of traffic lined up here. That was kind of crazy because people weren't listening, obviously. Why would they listen? CPR training. Going into this internship, I did not think that I was going to get CPR certified. It was such a fun and amazing experience. Training was held in the ARF Bay, that's where they keep all their fire trucks and equipment. You can see right here, this is the actual bay with the fire truck. We had to move it so we can get the tables and stuff set up. I learned how to do CPR on adults and infants. I learned how to use a defibrillator. That's the machine that shocks your heartbeat. I learned how to wrap a Israeli bandage. So this is for like really deep wounds that like you could see the bone. That's where we would wrap an Israeli bandage. And I learned how to give the Heimlich maneuver. So this is me doing the CPR on an adult. This guy, he was an instructor. He was from Yale. His name was Donald, I think. And then this is like just a picture of like the control tower, because the control tower is right next to ARF Bay. And ARF stands for Airport Rescue Firefighting. So that's where they keep their trucks and stuff. So I actually got to spend a day with Avelo Airlines when I was there. During my time at Tweed, I had the opportunity to spend a day with Avelo Airlines. I learned a lot on how the airline works and what it takes to get an airplane up in the air. So there's 5 aircraft based in New Haven. This means that the planes start and end their day. So they go out 6, 6:30, 7, 7:30, 8, and they come back between 3 and 10. I watched how they offloaded and unloaded bags. I pushed back 3 planes. I wing walked, and I helped offload people in wheelchairs, and I got to go in the cargo hold. So pushback basically means, so we have to attach this car with this yellow bar onto the wheel of this plane and all the planes, and we have to push them back because planes don't have like a reverse. So after they do that, they like start their engines while they're pushing it back. And wing walk, there has to be a person on either side of the wings while the plane is pushing back, just in case any like stairs are in the way, baggage cars. They would tell them, "Oh, stop! We have to move this away." And that's a picture of the engine I got to see. So airport cleanup day. Tweed wants to start doing an annual airport cleanup day for the airport. This was the first cleanup day that they held. I was the safety manager, so my group had Dodge plus Bird Street, so we got dropped off here and we had to clean both sides of this street. There wasn't really a lot of trash, so it made my job easier. But my job was basically to make sure that the people were safe. They didn't like pick up any glass, any like metal, any needles or anything like that. I made these signs the day before to let people know which group they wanted to be in, and this is where the sign-up sheet. So it was supposed to be a community event, but no one from the community showed up because they're so like against the expansion. So it was just the workers. So this was my group. So he was part of the TSA. The girl and the 2 guys next to me are part of Avelo. The guy with the hat, he's one of the directors of the airport, and the guy in the sunglasses, he's one of the managers for the airport. So on Mondays and Thursdays we were airside. So that is right here where the control tower is, and this is where the ARF bay is also. So the airside responsibilities include getting wildlife off the taxi and runways, notifying landside if the door is held or forced open, making sure there is no foreign object debris on the taxiway or runways, and we make sure all the 3 fire trucks are working and like they're not broken in case something does happen. We make sure that the floodgates are working and don't have any abnormal water levels. So there's a river that runs right through Tweed. So we make sure that in case something floods, like we like shut the gates down and don't let the water in the airport. And we make sure that the perimeter fence isn't damaged anywhere. So Tweed wants to expand, so they have a master expansion plan. So with this plan, they want to construct a larger terminal on the east haven side of the airport. So this would be where the firefighting bay is, on the closed runway side of the airport. They want to add an additional 1,000 feet of runway to either side of the runway, so they're going to split it up. They're going to update and add new taxiways. They already started doing this with taxiways, Hotel, Alpha, and Golf. Those are already constructed. And they're only waiting for an environment assessment to be done. And supposedly in July next month, the FAA will give their final decision and tell Tweed if they're able to go ahead and do these expansion plans. And I put the link just in case anybody wants to go ahead and read about that. And then conclusion plus questions. So this experience contributed to my growth by giving me the opportunity to dive deeper into my future career choice, and this experience gave me more knowledge about the aviation industry. I found a sense of responsibility because I was given real world tasks and I had to work them out by myself, with the traffic and all this. And it was like having a real life job. 2 of the biggest skills that I developed walking out of this internship was definitely being able to problem solve, because everything is never perfect. Like there always something has to happen. Every day something happened at the airport. And I was definitely being able to work with a team and being able to handle situations by myself. So sometimes you're with other people, and then sometimes with the way the scheduling goes, you'll be the only person for the whole entire airport. So you would have to do traffic, you would have to hold doors by yourself. So it was really like a juggling act. Um, Working at Tweed will most definitely help me in my future career. With my major being aviation operations, working at HBN and seeing how the airport operates, I feel like I'm going to walk in with a pretty good understanding of what my major is going to throw at me. My future plans include moving down to Boca Raton, Florida for college in August and most likely get a job at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport with Avela. With Avela Airlines, you are allowed to be transferred to the different airport bases. And being that Tweed and Fort Lauderdale are both New Haven bases, I figured that I could work at Fort Lauderdale like most part when I'm in Florida, and then for the summer and winter time, I can move back up here into and work in New Haven Airport. Eventually, I would love to work for JetBlue because that's the airline like I always find. I just really love that airline. And I got offered a summer job at New Haven, but I'm moving this summer, and then I'm gonna be moving to college right after that. So I feel like this summer wouldn't really be a good opportunity, but next summer I'm definitely gonna try to get a job. So, any questions? Miss Sylvia.
Well, I'm super proud of you, just as I am with all the other interns, but I know that this was like near and dear to your heart. You went through an interview process to get this opportunity, and you were one of the first high school students that they've ever hosted there. So congratulations on all of that.
Thank you.
And I'm so impressed with all of like the terminology that you're using. It's like in your vernacular now, like you just use abbreviations and different ways of talking about the experience that I think will probably help you in the future because you'll have that knowledge. But what do you think is like the biggest takeaway as far as like aviation knowledge that you think is going to be useful for you?
I feel like the biggest takeaway would probably be how the terminal like operates and functions, because I feel like I want to like go into the ramp when I go in Fort Lauderdale, hopefully, but if not, I feel like I have a really good understanding of how to do customer service, how to like deal with passengers. So I feel like that's one of the really big takeaways.
That's great.
Any other questions? Brianna.
Is there anything that you wish you could have done that you like didn't get to?
This week, I was supposed to go into the air traffic control tower, but due to circumstances that my parents are in Jamaica right now and I didn't have a ride, I didn't get to do that. Hopefully, like in the summer, I can be able to visit again and hopefully get into that. But yeah.
Other questions for Andrew?
Miss Burns.
My only question is, I know you mentioned having like either like a couple different ideas about what to do, whether it be a flight attendant or work on the ground. Do you like lean one way or another? Or are you really just like open to whatever?
Definitely being inside the plane, like flying, either like a flight attendant or a pilot. But if not, I would still love to work like on the ground with the aircraft, putting bags on the plane and stuff, because I still find that really interesting.
Beautiful job.